Welcome back to the LCS Academy, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Joshi and Desirax. After a heckin' game number one to the day, I don't even know what to say about it. Team Liquid Academy proving that they have the right stuff and take it to TSM Academy in absolute dominant fashion. But we'll talk a little bit more about that after I get to have a little bit of fun here with you guys, as I've been waiting for the game to be over so we can play a little game that I like to call Speedrun, where I'm going to have one of my casters blindfolded. I'm going to bring up a clip. I'm going to have the other caster describe said clip to the blindfolded caster in as general terms as possible. No champion names, no player names, no team names, no objective names. We'll see if they can get their memory, get their synergy on, especially these two, as well, you know how that's going. So let's go ahead and get Desirax blindfolded. I'll have Joshi up on to bat first. So we'll go ahead and bring up the clip once Desirax is blindfolded. He's not blindfolded yet. Let's wait. We gotta get the trust. All right. He's blindfolded now. All right, he's blindfolded. Those are blindfolds. Don't check it. So give you a couple seconds to get your bearings straight, Joshi. But as the clip rolls, you will have to describe the clip to Desirax. So let's roll the clip and see what you got.
All right. Horsey team brings bunch of people, and they hop over a wall, and suddenly Mummy gets in the middle. Other Yordle forgets what bailout does and leaves.
What?
And
that's it. That's it. You get till the clip is done.
I don't
we go over some major points to that. So there was jumping over a wall.
Over a wall.
Horsey team.
Horsey team jumping over a wall.
Horsey team jumping over a wall.
Jumps over a wall.
Bailout.
Okay.
But forgetting the bailout.
Yeah.
Can I take this off, by the way?
Yes, you can go ahead and take
your
blindfold.
okay.
I kind of liked it.
Horsey jumping over.
I think it was pretty accurate. Whether or not it was helpful is an entirely different question.
So it's definitely not the Baron, because that's when he failed to jump over the wall twice.
True. Process of elimination there.
Only time I saw him jump over the wall to any significance was around that dragon fight, where I think it was Takeover was like completely isolated. He couldn't get into the fight until like way later. It was just Harry bringing in Fangs.
Pretty good. All right.
That's the only one I remember jump over the wall.
Let's go ahead and bring up the clip real quick. We'll play it for Desirax, see if he was right. I was interested because Joshi gave you no sense of area, where we were. He just said goes in over
okay,
wall.
This was it.
But it is the play you chose.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Good job.
This is the only time I significantly remember Jan jumping over a wall. Specifically this right here. This right here. Hop.
And the Taker was like sad.
Oh, it was the first hop, I think, over the wall that he was talking about. But, hey,
oh yeah, he did do it twice.
I remember the second hop. It doesn't matter. It got me to the same direction.
Hey, the end goal was the same, and he got there. Look at that synergy. Now we're gonna see if the other way works. Because Joshi, we're gonna ask you to put your blindfold
Lennon,
on here.
I know you know this is a blindfold, but I gotta show it to everybody else as well. Right? We got some glasses here, but you can't see through them at all.
And
that's
you have
because,
to wonder why.
Let's
why
see,
would
Josh,
they possibly?
Why?
Look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness.
I can't tell if it's on or not.
Yeah,
so on.
I got you. I
So
got
on,
you, dog. I got you, dog. Great stuff here. Great blindfold. He can't see anything whatsoever. And let's go ahead and bring up the second clip. Now, Desirax, learn from the lessons in the past, all right? You've got this. I believe in you, my friend. But I'll give you a couple seconds to get your bearings straight. This one is going to be another fun one, a little bit chaotic. Let's see what you got. Roll the clip.
All right, welcome to On the Range with El Deherux. Now we coming in, all right, a bear's coming right out of the jungle into the river, and already we see a little crybaby boy. He's crying, but so is someone else. There's two crybabies in this one, but look at the lady. She's going to outrun everything, running in a straight line. That's all that's needed to get away from the dangers of the world. You just keep it straight in that line, and you will be able to get out of any rodeo you get locked in, and that's why Horsey team is coming out number one, because it ain't their first rodeo.
Horsey team. The only reason why you're gonna redeem yourself is the middle point in the walking straight. I feel like.
I'm pretty sure I figured out what it is.
All right. You can go ahead and take your blindfold up top. Thank you for that live version of On the Range. need to get you out on the range sometime there, my buddy. Yeah, so Joshi, what play could that possibly have been?
This is the fight in the mid lane. Takeover gets the Curse of Sad Mummy, and Mumu does it. They stun each other, and then Callista is, bye-bye, I am leaving now. There's nothing left to do, and we see Bradley and Cass and Aerie coming in from opposite sides, cleaning things up, and
sounds like a pretty good
good
description.
stuff.
Let's go ahead and bring up the
There we
play,
go.
see if it was correct. And apparently, I picked 2 easy ones today, or your guys' synergy is actually developing like we like to see in Academy. I don't know which one it's
It's
gonna
a straight line, right? It's a straight line. Tell me.
Straight line.
It's a straight line.
is
Everything
the
else
bane of
to
melee
that point, like I want to
champions.
go back and re-watch that because I have no idea what you were saying, but the straight line one, that was it. That was it.
And that was the big thing, right? It is the worst thing you can do to a melee champion is walk away from them in a straight line, and they're just like, wait, no, please, come back.
Sir,
Please.
I cannot hit you.
sir, I am poor. A speck of gold. I need to cash in.
A speck of range, please.
Well, that was a fun episode of Speed Run. Love to see you guys' synergy on point. Also, love to see some of that gameplay. It was definitely Team Liquid Academy favorite, if you couldn't tell from the couple clips. But in all actuality, the entire game went that way. And I got a bone to pick with you, Mr. Joshi. I got a bone
What?
to pick with you, all right?
Why?
When we were coming in this one, you were like, yeah, Bradley. Bradley. I said, that was you. That was exactly. I mean, that was verbatim. And then we see how many solo
I think it
kills
was
did he
I
get
think it was
against the guy
4.
named Solo?
I think it was 4. It was
Now
definitely
I'm a
3.
play-by-play, and I'm not big brain, but 4? That's a pretty big number for solo kills.
It's a
I
lot
would
of
say.
solo
That's a
kills,
lot of solo
yeah.
kills, especially on a guy named Solo. I think that's.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's my bone. I
Bradley.
picked it.
Bradley had a remarkable game.
He
Right.
did. He did.
He's had a couple of these before, and it's always surprising to me when he just like pops off, right? Because the last time he did it was going up against Tenacity, right? He was playing Akali versus Olaf, and he just solo killed Tenacity 3 times, like back to back to back,
Yeah.
and it was very, very difficult for 100 Thieves to play through the rest of that game. And that's like the one thing I look at with Team Liquid, right? I say one of the easiest ways to attack them is you put Bradley behind, but Anda, as the mastermind of the jungle, said, no, I'm going to kill Harry a couple of times. Well, they did that.
They
Top lane was
did.
already irreparably far behind.
And then bot lane. Like, that's the thing
And
about this
bottom
game.
lane.
It was literally the entire team. We talked a huge amount about the dueling fates between Anda and Armeo, but again, when we were talking about the conversation, it was like the rest of the team steps up, and that's how they look good, right? It's them supporting the rest of the team. And we saw that holistically for Team Liquid Academy. Armeo just had his pick. He was just walking through the grocery store like, oh, yeah, I'll take a Yon double kill down bottom lane. Oh, there's a Gangplank solo kill 4 times.
On
Yeah, I'll take
sale?
that. No big deal. And I think that seeing the way he was manipulating the map, but as well as the fact that, unfortunately for Tactical and Mia, Jan and Ayla were feeling themselves at bot lane, and it did not go their way, at least in terms of TSM Academy. So I got to hone back in on that bottom lane and how much aggression we saw from Tactical that got answered to by Jan and Ayla Deserex.
Yeah, I had higher hopes, especially seeing the Aphelios and Renata combo, being able to steal away that Renata, but of course, you still need more scaling to come out of that Aphelios. And who's online right away? It is the Callista, and Jan and Ayla know that so well, that a Mumu pick works so well alongside it. You could just pull in the Mumu and say, wow, fastball straight to the back line, throw down that Curse of the Sad Mummy. That's the team fight, though. In the lane, they still played it incredibly well without much support on top of that. So hats off to Jan and Ayla for playing into what is a former LCS bot lane in Tactical and Mia.
Yeah, I think that was the most impressive thing. And the fact that, like, it was very snowbally because, like, we hit the top lane solo kill, and then we go down to a 2v2 win for Team Liquid Academy. And then we go to, like, a jungle fight. And then we go back to the solo kill. And we go back to the 2v2 kills in the bot lane. It was just constant chaos from Team Liquid Academy. And I guess that's where I want to temperature check a little bit here with you, Joshi, and talking a little bit more about Team Liquid Academy and their hopes and dreams. Obviously, we've stated so many times how highly they hold themselves, how highly their coach Spawn holds themselves. But after a performance like this, I want to get a bit of a temperature check on them and how you're feeling about them today, and especially after the break here about halfway through Week 5.
And how you feeling about
Yeah.
Bradley, Josh?
I've
Well,
already ripped
Bradley's
him
having
enough
a
about that
fantastic
one,
day.
all right?
Bradley's having a good day. I feel like Team Liquid, though, like looking at them today, this this is a little bit of the shades that we saw at the very beginning of the split, right? Where they were just taking everybody down. They set a new record for fastest game in the LCS Academy, and this is the kind of thing where I feel like they didn't necessarily outdraft their opponents by a huge margin, right? I liked both sides' draft. I liked what TSM were doing. This is Team Liquid just out-executing them at all stages of the game. And if you start super early on, and it makes it so much easier to play the rest of the game out. And so that's the kind of thing where I feel like Team Liquid come into this with an edge, right? We know that TSM are going to be good, but Team Liquid have been playing together. They have the ability to make early game plans. And, you know, I'd love to credit Armeo for that, but I'm sure Spawn is also a big part of that. They get these early ideas going, and we saw it. They were faster the rotation in the bottom side river than TSM were, and they just out-executed because they were on the same page.
And I guess that begs the question on the other side, right? Obviously, a lot of things to work through for TSM Academy. They had the bright moments yesterday. This one, definitely a dark spot in terms of differences between the games. But I think you still got to see some of that aggression that they wanted to use, that they want to use in terms of strategy. And I think this game, I got to see a lot more of, I guess, proactivity from Anda as well in terms of responses. But again, we always also talked about how the rest of the team needs to ensure that that's even possible. We'll see how Game 2 works out and who wins the battle of the generals between Armeo and Anda as Team Liquid Academy versus TSM Academy. Game number 2 is kicking off right now. Let's go see what happens. Desrex and Joshi.
All right, thank you, Mazel. And, you know, Battle of the Generals, I really do like that because that matchup wasn't too far off from that. When you look at the TSM side, a lot of the plays was decided off of Anda in that mid lane, playing towards Takeover. It wasn't much picked up, but that was a little bit of a highlight out of TSM and something they could potentially revisit as they think about this next draft.
Yeah, I mean, every single kill that TSM picked up that game was facilitated by Anda, right? He comes to the mid lane twice, he picks up Harry, he goes bottom lane, holds a steadfast presence so that Yon can't get away, can't even do damage effectively when he comes in for the gank. And that's part of why I like the TSM draft. But this is the situation where it feels like the game plan coming from TSM isn't as established as what we were seeing from Team Liquid. And Armeo, you know, we praised him, but we also said at the beginning, he might not look as impactful because he's not stopping plays that Anda's always going to be going for. And that's kind of what we saw. Like, Armeo did fine, right? He had 16 assists. Did he make any big plays? You know, he helped in the 3v3 in the bottom side, but it felt like allowing his lanes to just out-execute their opponents was really the big success story from him.
Yeah, if his lanes aren't going to do well, he will be the one to help him do well. As you said, 16 assists. He averages the highest assist when it comes to any other jungler at 8.5 per game. He doesn't get much kills, but his KDA is so high because he is that team fight jungler to have. So, Anda, on the other side of things, has been playing more towards that role as of lately. We'll see if that can get him more success now, as the first pick is going to go over to TSM. They're going to steal it right away from Team Liquid and grab the Kalista for tactical.
Okay, now we know Team Liquid, they've been willing to play the Trundle. It's one of Armeo's favorite champions. They've played the Nasus before, and I wonder if it's just going to be a reverse, right? We saw that Kalista picked up for Team Liquid, and now if they pick up the Volibear here, it will be giving over the Renata to Mia, and it says to me that Ayla much more likely to go over towards the Lulu if TSM just allows it to go through, and that gives both squads very strong bottom lanes to play around.
Yeah, still waiting for that pickup of the Renata you were just talking about. That early game agency you get with that combo of Kalista Renata, of course, in the hands of Tactical Mia. Very experienced duo. Now coming down, there's going to be the lock-in, so that's going to be something you have to give a lot of respect to, but I imagine Team Liquid were expecting this. Have some sort of answer to it. One more pick to come out of TSM, and it's going to be the Gnar.
There you go, and the Gnar, this is Solo's attempt to, get himself a very comfortable champion. He's a legacy Gnar player for sure, and it's also a decent matchup into the Gangplank, so he's trying to make sure he has something that will make Bradley a little bit uncomfortable. Now, as somebody who plays a lot of Gnar, when I see a Gangplank, I recognize it is not a free lane for me to go up into. It is not free of a matchup, but it is pretty decent to actually play. And so Bradley, I would not be surprised if TSM throw a Gangplank ban his way anyway to make sure that he's on something a little bit less comfortable. But Bradley has plenty of things that do well into this champion. Olaf has always done well into the Gnar. That Fiora is not great, but definitely still very playable, right? That Holly does quite well into Gnar as well. So there's lots of options available to Team Liquid from here. And TSM, by locking this champion in early, are definitely throwing down a gauntlet.
And a little bit of a flip as well, just having that top lane locked in for TSM, because now they can ban away towards that side you were talking about, with Bradley not allow him to grab those powerful picks that he's so prominent at, Gangplank being one of those, already taken off the map, while Team Liquid are going to go after solo lane of their own, but targeting the mid lane of TSM this time. Not going to let Takeover get onto that Azir. That was the same Azir he styled on in that last match, FlyQuest against Spyrax. Also not going to let him get the Sylas, which, again, this was a very prominent point out of TSM, this mid lane with the jungle duo. Even if it was a stomp, that is where we saw some light coming from. So Team Liquid trying to shut down Takeover early in this draft.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense, right? He was one of the stronger points. He and Anda, now that they have a little bit more counter pick to play with, should be able to find themselves a strong matchup. But with two of Takeover's better champions left, the number one thing I think of for Takeover is the Akali. But
it's time to rock.
That champion is very close to winning the game on the spot. It is very close. It doesn't quite do it all on its own, but it absolutely dunks on Gnar in the top lane. That is an unplayable matchup for the Gnar. It has the attack speed slow, and it has basically a point-and-click crowd control, and the movement speed slow makes Kalista super miserable. This champion has everything Team Liquid could possibly want from their draft. The only thing they really need now is something that can have enough damage so that you're not a single damage threat composition.
I love it. I love it. You're always trying to shut down the Kalista. We're always finding different ways to do it. Team Liquid got a dose of it with the Nasus before. Now they have their own answer to it, which is gonna be the Malphite. This is a very strong team fight composition that we got out of Team Liquid right now, Josh.
It is very good. I love this draft coming through. I've loved the evolution that we've started seeing a little bit more in terms of, you know, hey, this champion just kind of wins. And we saw that yesterday with Golden Guardians on the Nasus. And an Orianna coming through. Dude, nobody's playing this champion right now. This is fantastic. Now,
so much team fight.
it's so much team fight already coming out from Team Liquid. And I feel like the only place where I'm a little bit less sure on how this game is kind of going to be shaking out is in the mid lane, right? We've seen Takeover play Swain 0 times. He has played the Orianna once, and I can't remember the last time I actually saw Harry play the Orianna. So this is a matchup I'm a little bit less familiar with, but across the board, we're going to see fighting in the bottom lane. We're going to see Solo crying up in the top lane, begging for Anna to come bail him out in the top side, and Romeo is probably going to be the one that says, nope, we win, stay away, let my Bradley do his thing.
This is an exciting one for me. I do like a lot of the counter engage that you have on TSM right now. Team Liquid are going to be looking for that hard engage with the combos they have. The Orianna, the Malphite, the Volibear, they all like diving in deep. But TSM have good responses with that in the counter engage. The hostile takeover, engaging into a Gnar. Of course, you got to time out the Gnar bar. But the demonic ascension that comes out of Swain. A lot of people taking stuff like Imperial Mandate paired along with the Rylus into that to make the team fight better. There's a lot of tools that can counter engage and try and turn this into a meat grinder that Team Liquid will be engaging into.
As we start to load onto the Rift, it will be onto TSM to take these fights slow. If the Team Liquid Wombo combo goes off, they don't have much of a chance.
So now, ready to get into this game. Let's see if TSM can bounce back against the Titans of Academy in that Team Liquid Honda. In the Rift right now, you know, we have a lot of this that's going to be influenced by the jungle. Typically is, but more so than ever when it comes to these two squads. We've talked about it a lot, the wealth of experience that's both on Armeo and Anda, now being on some of the more old school champs with his Volibear Trundle.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, you have to take some grain of salt when you start looking at how you actually play solo queue champions versus in competitive, but this is looking to be a pretty darn good matchup in theory for Takeover against Harry, right? Wins about 54% of the time in solo queue, so I'm curious to see how Harry's actually going to be playing this, because it's a less common champion these days. Not a lot of people have been playing the Orianna, but it's kind of always okay, right? It's very rare that you are sad to have this champion on your team, but it really indexes towards having these big late game teamfights, and Tactical is alone.
Tactical. It's not your bush, friend. Not sure what he's going
Well,
for
it might
there,
be.
just kind of hiding in. Jan and Ayla don't see him, but now you're going to spot him
Oh.
out. Or did
They spot him?
Did they? Okay, this is... Did they actually spot him out? I don't know.
I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I don't think they know.
Okay, so he's still in that bush waiting around.
They
Now
know
he's just
now.
gonna walk right into the face of Jan and chase him away, getting this really, really cheeky cheese in early with that back end rand on Jan. I like it.
Okay, well,
Sneaky web.
it didn't go badly. Didn't go particularly excitingly well, so at the end of the day, it is a bit of a handshake in damage taken. They have both burned a potion to start things off, but TSM already started to throw some heat in this game. I was going to say fire, but they're not firebenders.
Not throwing the fire yet, just barely cranking up the stove. Got a little bit of gas, got it on a low simmer. But looking at Tactical's health and how much they're fighting very early on to this, yeah, I think that heat's going to be turned up, Josh.
Yeah. They get to level 2 right off the bat, so they can be a bit more aggressive. But now I want to turn my eyes towards where the junglers are going. It is a situation where both junglers are currently running their way down towards the bottom side of the map, and I wonder if we're going to get another 3v3 to start things off like we saw last game. And also, while we do see Solo winning out this top lane, it's not surprising to me that it is going well to start the game, right? It becomes really bad after first back, after Bradley has a chance to buy a tier or something, and then Solo just can't deal with a few.
Ooh, interesting play coming out here. A lot of priority coming out for TSM in the bot side, but also Anda's going to skip a camp to try and set up a play into the mid lane. Not going to get there in time, but he still will be the faster one here. The only thing is, with that skip camp,
down a level.
Armeo will be up a level, so not the best place for Anda to be, but still having that priority coming out from the mid lane and the bottom lane will secure Anda the Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, and both these bottom lanes going very low. Not a lot of summoners left to Team Liquid. Okay. Alright, Solo, gotta be a little bit careful. But this is already looking to be a better start to the game for TSM than what we saw last time, right? It was around this level breakpoint that Team Liquid actually got that 3v3 and got 3 kills to start things off. And now Team Liquid, they don't have that early lead, and their bottom lane is not having as much success as we saw the first time around. So TSM, we can call this one a win so far.
So far, so good for TSM. The situation that's going to rise now is Anda did have to skip a camp to get that early Scuttle Crab, so you're going to have some control coming out from Armeo over in this top side for a little bit, and Armeo's going to try and play to that. He starts going up towards Solo. Solo's going to spot this out thanks to that sweeper, thanks to that ward that was placed earlier, spotting out Armeo now walking in, getting disabled, but Solo places another ward, so he's got a lot of safety up here.
Yeah. Bradley's out of mana too. That's the one thing that Malphite has to have. You can kind of see already the way this matchup works is after Bradley gets his back and he's got enough points in queue, and then he will just throw that at Gnar, and he will throw it, and he will throw it, and he will throw it, and eventually Solo is going to be at about 40% HP, and Bradley will one-shot it.
There we go, Mia showing up in the mid lane, but Ayla will follow suit. Just shoving in the way for the time being. A little bit rough for Takeover here, who has to deal with that range. Has to deal with the command attack, command dissonance. Underneath that tower doesn't feel fun, so a lot of pressure on to Takeover, but he's been one of those mid laners that, you know, responds to pressure quite well. So if you can respond to it against Harry.
Yeah. And one of the things I always talk about with Harry, I love to talk about it because it always seems to come true. Even in matchups that are not great in lane for Harry, he always seems to come out ahead for some reason, right? 10 CS ahead consistently, even in matchups where he's not supposed to. But I can't imagine that's why this matchup is good for Swain and solo queue. I think it mostly will have to do with the upcoming team fights. When Takeover gets his ultimate, he's way better prepared to deal with the upcoming dragon fights. And Takeover, that's where he kind of shines, right? He really thrives. He can find his leads between levels 3 and 9, and that is exactly when TSM are going to be at their strongest. They haven't fought for a dragon just quite yet, but in about 2-3 minutes, when everybody starts coalescing towards the bottom side of the map, that's when we can expect TSM to potentially find their lead.
TSM are going to look to make a play over towards Dragon right now, freeing up the mid lane. Now here comes Armeo. Snare's going to go through onto Tactical, who gets polymorphed as well. Handshake going to pull Armeo back in. Tactical and Mia going to be okay. Shockwave in the mid lane looking to grab on to Takeover, who has 300 health left and just getting bullied by Harry in this mid lane.
forcing Takeover back, right? Takeover doesn't have a whole lot of HP out of Corrupting Potion stacks.
There we go. Flash not available for Jan, so well-placed pillar could be the end of him, but Jan and Ayla both playing it safe over there. Still on the kind of surfing around. Armeo's in this vicinity, so both of these junglers getting close to meeting.
Yet again, both the masterminds still looking for their way back in, and oh, Armeo, he's coming around. He might look for a lane gank here, but won't be able to find his way in. Well, I did find something fun about and Armeo while I was looking into them a little bit, while we see junglers back away. They actually used to play on a team together back in 2016. Actually, they were both on Team Arsenal together, and the thing that was really cool about that was Anda was playing top lane at the time under the name Cho Rong, and they also was splitting time with Dokla, who at the time was going by Da Hulk, right? So we got a lot of history between these two teams. They also played with Ablaze, Olive, and Bloodwater. So I feel like we have a lot of players from that era, from the LCS relegations era, who are still kind of hovering around as these people who are always looking for their way back up. And I wonder how much they actually remember playing at that time, because Armeo was going by Grigny. He was looking for these opportunities to play around him. I wonder how much Anda remembers and is going to use that against him all these years later.
I would love it if we could see some VODs from that, but that's kind of the rough thing about
It's a long time ago.
The North American amateur / challenger scene, as we called it more back then, at least. Now looking to set up over here. Potentially a play coming out of Armeo and Harry, who are trying to utilize that priority to get an invade in, but and Takeover already getting prime positioning alongside with Solo, who has been holding over into this top side quite well against Bradley. It's still going to sit well with Bradley, though, because Bradley is going to be that team fighter. He is going to be that engager. Unstoppable force. All he needs to do is land it onto 2, 3, get it onto the back line. He can still be big here. Solo needs to really work that advantage.
Oh, and his Rift Herald 5, Team Liquid never do this, but they're bringing Yon to actually try and make this play happen.
All right, starting up the Rift Herald now. TSM. I mean, you have the Rend here, so it's not a big issue. Yeah, secured, no problem for TSM. So on to the rest of the call-up coming out from the bot lane. Shockwave going to go on to take over to just try and dissuade him, slow him down from responding to this tower. It is going to result in Team Liquid getting some power over towards the bot side where you have that dragon. It's also going to be some free farming coming out for Jan on the Aphelios. He will be able to grab some plates on top of that. So all is not lost for Team Liquid, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, they're still okay in this spot, but the place that I'm kind of looking at, again, you know, you guys were flaming me for saying that Bradley was kind of struggling. This matchup is so good for Malphite, right? It is so hard to play for Nard, and Solo is winning it, and he's not just winning it by a little bit, he's winning by 30 CS, and they get the target at 9 minutes now, admittedly, with the Rift Herald, but Bradley's missing out on a lot of gold, on a lot of experience, and while they trade for a couple plates down in the bottom side, this is a little bit closer to what I was expecting between Solo and Bradley.
Now so much pressure coming out from Solo on this top side that Bradley can't really seem to match. In the early laning stages, I mean, let's face it, it sucks for Bradley. It's not the most devastating thing given he is on the Malphite.
He will be relevant.
Yeah, he's still going to be relevant nonetheless. I'm looking at the bot lane and I'm looking at Jan, who's going to be able to stay in this, grabbing a lot of those plates. I mean, Tactical did get that turret gold over on the top side, so their gold will be relatively even, all things considered, but Jan still being able to keep up with plates, keep up with farm, that bodes well for Team Liquid in the late game.
True. Yeah, it's definitely a much different start to this game than I was expecting, right? It's not about whether Bradley will be relevant or not. It's about the fact that Solo will be. But at the same time, Jan pretty far ahead, right? I feel like this is, again, more credit to them beating up an LCS bottom lane and doing it pretty well, right? It's not just the fact that they were able to out-team fight them earlier. It's not just the fact that they were winning these 2v2s, but they haven't given anything back, and they are coming into this Kalista Renata lane and coming out with a lead, right? Yon and Ayla, very, very excited.
Shockwave, there goes the Unstoppable Force, looking for first blood in the mid lane. Takeover gets dropped. Bradley, quick on the trigger, will get a kill for Team Liquid.
And there you go. We always knew Bradley was going to be relevant. Just point and click, you combine the ultimates, and there was not a lot Takeover could do. Uses a flash, uses the Summoner Spellbook heal. They lose a couple of plates in the mid lane. So Team Liquid, first one's on the board.
A little bit of a switch right there, Josh. Usually it's the ball delivery system. This time it was the Malphite delivery system, using the shockwave to set up the unstoppable force.
It's like,
But
ult here.
yeah, ult here. Hey, they put the target down and they were able to find it. So good for Team Liquid right now. Bradley able to stay in it with that kill.
Yeah. So Bradley doesn't lose a whole lot for that either. Didn't have a wave to go for. And while we have another bit of a lull, right, while we wait for the Dragon and the Rift Herald to come back up, maybe, and it does get spotted out, Team Liquid shouldn't go down to this. I kind of want to, again, look at some of our like LCS journeymen, right? And Anda and Armeo, we've praised them as being some of the masterminds for their teams. Anda was the core member for TSM that got them a lot of wins in our got them a lot of kills in our previous game. But they've also had very parallel careers a lot of the time, right? They've both been playing rather effectively in LCS roster since 17.
Yeah. As I had stated earlier, their competitive experience, you know, it starts back in 2014 for both of them. So
True.
they are journeymen. They are very much journeymen when it comes to the scene, and they bring a lot towards both of their squads.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people tend to see players like that, and they're like, oh, why are they in Academy? They're not
washed,
doing
but
anything. They're washed and
Dokla!
whatnot."
Remember Dokla?
Yeah. Yeah, go look at Dokla. Some of these players can make a second comeback just as Dokla, or some of these players are here to provide a foundation for the newer players that are growing up, such as Takeover right here. So you can't give too much of a wash, all things considered. You know, this is for development at the end of the day.
Alright, I wonder if Bradley has finally figured out why this matchup is so good. Doesn't look like it. He's trying at the very least. Again, credit to Solo for doing a similar thing, but you know, you're supposed to be using that on the champion a little bit, you know? You get a little bit more damage coming through. But while we wait, I again think that Team Liquid, they are in a pretty decent position, but the upcoming team fights are going to be tough for them, right? They don't burn down Swain all that easily.
Looking at the setup, Fog 4 going to be utilized. Coming around the back, Anda looking to set up Takeover, but still got some potential jungle intervention that can come out from Armeo over in the mid lane. Still sending in Mia towards this mid side. Not going to find anything else. Just a quick pull in and a little bit of damage onto Harry, going to be negated thanks to that shield. Now for Anda, you know, this is definitely a different Anda from what we're used to back from No Org, who won that original Proving Grounds. In the circuit qualifiers number 2 for Summer, they didn't look as good. They didn't look like the old No Org that we're used to. You know, they lost part of that open qualifiers to Maryville University. They lost another one to Tempest. Maryville, one you can definitely excuse, but Tempest, you're still expecting No Org to have such a high level of competition, to bring such a high level of skill. And Anda, for the most part, was bringing it in a lot of these games. You know, 6.2 KDA over in those open qualifiers, 80% kill participation. I want to put a hard note onto that because that is very high for a jungler,
Very
all
high.
things considered. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's part of his time with No Org, the return to No Org over in the open circuit qualifiers for returning here in Academy.
Doing a good job as well. They pick up the second dragon of the game. TSM with a stronger mid-game team fight are not getting challenged by Team Liquid a little bit. I also want to help you out a little bit for both you, Eric, and for everybody who is watching. It is Anda.
And,
Right.
sorry.
Yeah, his name is Andy Huang. And Armeo, maybe caught?
Maybe caught out, but yeah, the Fog of War there, playing really well. That vision control that came out of TSM, a little bit too much of a threat.
Oh.
Jumping forward is gonna be on! And just like that, you can't take your eyes off him.
Shoot him with your gun, Jan. He just went in and shot that man a whole bunch, and great stuff. This is what we love seeing from Aphelios players. They just come alive all at once. They have plenty of damage, and Jan, that's the second time that it just feels like he is doing better than Tactical. Tactical was so aggressive yesterday in the mid game, but now that he's gone down and gives Team Liquid the opportunity to hit the mid lane turret, probably open up the map, and also grab the Rift Herald so they can threaten to take another turret.
And suddenly the map's starting to open up for Team Liquid. They have found a weak point, able to exploit it, and now grabbing the Rift Herald, grabbing the mid lane, they're going to open up vision. They're going to be able to utilize that Rift Herald onto another tower. Of course, plates now down at this stage, so a good flux of a good flux of gold to come in for Team Liquid. quite soon, as they are going to set up at least a little bit towards this bottom side. You still got 3 minutes, 30 seconds before the Dragon does spawn, so Team Liquid can bide their time quite a bit setting up for this next play.
Yeah, Team Liquid aren't particularly worried, right? Remember, Orianna, the level 11 ultimate is nice, but the level 16 ultimate is where it really is exciting. And so Team Liquid, they don't have to worry about necessarily taking these fights for a little while. And I feel like that's something that both Harry and Romeo are kind of waiting for, but they look for Harry.
Go the lockdown onto Harry, pulls him right back in. Stays along for a little bit of prolonged time, but it's still going to be TSM, tactical, able to grab that kill.
So what does TSM actually get with this mistake? They get the kill, yes, that shuts down Harry's ability to farm for about a minute. But are they going to get this turret? They don't get the +1, and in fact, it might be Anda who's a little bit caught out. Don't spot him.
Takeover. Looking to run away here. We'll use the Demonic Ascension, and Armeo is happy to have that pop. Sidesteps the crowd control. A little bit more damage coming in, but that is a team fight tool now down for TSM.
It's a pretty short cooldown. Should be up by the time the next dragon actually spawns. So, you know, a bit of a wash there. But the game has definitely looked very different when Team Liquid don't have a huge lead this time around than what we saw previously. And normally in these games, it's very common to look at Team Liquid and say, oh, they're only like up 1 or 2, maybe 3 kills. But they've typically been up like 3,000 or 4,000 gold. And now we're starting to see glimpses of that as we see the mid lane turret go down, the bot lane turret falls. They still have the Rift Herald, and if they can drop it here and get an entire another turret, that is the Team Liquid that I'm so used to seeing. They play the game very cleanly around objectives, and we know Armeo has been a huge part of that.
You know, it's a little bit of a slow play coming in, but now that they are able to capitalize, they're cashing in big time. Tower going to go down in the bot lane. It's going to be a bot tier 2. And trying to find a response here. Teleport's coming out across the board from TSM as they look for the play into the bot lane. Armeo, Jan, Ayla looking to find that escort out. And it will not chase over the wall. Here we go. Solo cannot land the ultimate onto Harry. We'll still get the stun onto Bradley, but Bradley would love to go for the engage. Already finding the shockwave. Bradley looking for his way in, but running low. Out comes the hostile takeover. Lands onto 4. Not going to really do much. Team Liquid still in the driver's seat as Tactical comes from the flanks, able to bring in the spears, but Armeo flashes away and gets to safety.
A lot of ultimates being blown, but nobody actually dies. And at the end of it, Team Liquid, they lose 2 flashes. Those are going to be the big things that are missing for the upcoming Dragon fight. TSM will have the Demonic Ascension. They will have the Fate's Call coming through from Tactical. Nar's ultimate is on such a low cooldown. But they won't have Jan's ultimate. They won't have Armeo's ultimate to play around. And Armeo with no flash presents significantly less engage threat.
This is a good moment for TSM to try and find some footing onto the board. You're looking at the vision that we see out of TSM towards the bot side. Well established so far, putting pressure onto this bot lane. Ayla and Harry have to respond to it. Already the setup going so far so good for TSM for this dragon. Going to be a mountain coming soon. Armeo trying to lead the pack right now, but seeing one of the other team leaders, Anda, across the board. Now that Mega Gnar almost available for Solo as he's going to get stunned up while the bar is going to be triggered. So rough window for Team Liquid to jump in. Got to wait out that ultimate, but still halfway through now. Team Liquid looking for the way in. Take over on the far end. Team Liquid not going for the engage. Finally going to pop it through. Looking for Anda. Anda's able to split off towards the side. 2k health remains. Looking for the Rend. It's not going to go through. Team Liquid will secure the Drake. Now Tactical in a rough situation. Has to hop over the wall. Looking to grab on to Harry. Pulling him right back in will be takeover. A kill secured. Harry will fall, but Team Liquid grabbing the Drake and looking to grab more. They want the team fight. Now Jan playing gritty as he's able to sit towards the side and space this out. Health bars low for TSM. Looking for takeover. One more auto able to land it, and now TSM heads for the heels as the hostile takeover used only to disengage.
Oh, we're not done. They're looking for Mia still. Oh, Armeo's stun ran out.
Stun's gonna run out, but look who's coming in the flank, forcing the flash out of Mia. And Anda slam jam. Thank you, ma'am. Not gonna be found, but Jan will find the bullet right onto Anda.
Oh man, Armeo, Jan, and Ayla the ones who come up big during this team fight, but I gotta praise Solo so much for his previous play. Are they looking for the Baron? They do. They got Anda at the very end of that. They are tanking up. They have enough to stay. They're going to be taking this down. And TSM, it's going to have to be a very difficult contest if they want to come through it, but it looks like they're trying to make it.
TSM are going to look for it right now. As you said, it's a difficult contest. What can you do? Throw Mia in, get that Gnar bar up, but look at the health left over. This might is going to be secure. Team Liquid able to grab it. Here comes the Shockwave, secures Tactical. And the Gnar is there for Solo, but the team fight is not for TSM.
Takeover's going to have to ult.
Yeah, he's going to have to burn that ultimate, trying to get away from this one, but there's 5 members of Team Liquid charging right onto you.
And they get 2 members on top of the Baron. Team Liquid, you give them an inch, they're taking a mile. They smited away the Hextech Dragon. They got the Baron. Armeo calling the shots, leading his team exactly where they need to be. Team Liquid, it was bang on even for so much of this. There was no real advantage, but suddenly 5,000 gold in the lead. But I want to praise Solo for this team fight, actually. Watch how he gets Harry out of the team fight. That's a level 13 Orianna, has the rank 2 ultimate, and while it takes Solo a long time, he's mini Gnar. He doesn't have the access to his ultimate, and he still is able to force Harry into an uncomfortable situation and find the kill at the end. And ultimately, if the rest of the team had been able to perform as well, the rest of the team fight would have gone fine, because Team Liquid are so split, but Jan and Ayla are on the same page. They hit the right targets, and eventually, this Aphelios Lulu just has enough damage to take everything down.
Remember what Jan can do when you put him into the late game, when you allow him to get resources. He's currently 3-0-2. Now a fight coming out from Anda. Going right after Harry. Harry in the wrong spot to be, but the dissonance provides enough of a slow. Now Team Liquid marching straight towards the base of TSM, setting up in the top lane, setting up in the mid lane. Split push coming out of Solo over towards that bot side, but the assault has begun for Team Liquid.
They're taking this turret. That's the hardest one. The first inhibitor turret to go down is always the most difficult. And Solo off to the side. They don't think that they can really contest this Baron push, and instead, Solo trying to find something else on the rest of the map. So,
what's going on?
Is the game ending? What's happening?
What's on right here? TSM, they were trying to set up a play elsewhere while giving up their inhibitor, but you can't do that with Team Liquid. They will just end the game right then and there, and that's going to force out a teleport from Solo.
Oh, great play. Tactical caught a little bit.
And he has to run away, but look at Team Liquid. They're on the flank right now. Jan looking to lead the charge. He's gotten so fed. He's been unchecked for so long. Securing another one. 2 down. TSM running in straight retreat as Team Liquid destroy the base.
And all at once, Team Liquid go from even to winning. We're still only at the 24-minute mark, Eric.
And they are not done. They already grabbed 1 inhibitor. They're looking for inhibitor number 2. 20 seconds left on the death timer for Tactical. 10 for Mia. It's going to be an easy grab for Team Liquid as they are showing why we call them the kings of Academy.
So far, I mean, it took them a little while to come online, but this later game team fighting composition is paying dividends. Armeo continuing to mark Anda, preventing him from doing anything, at least. And it gets his own blue buff back, but that's a small consolation prize as everybody backs away. We still have dragons to fight for. Team Liquid have opened up the map of TSM, and Team Liquid, I mean, it really comes down to, it feels like Armeo has prevented Anda from doing much of anything this game. Jan and Ayla continuing to win this bottom side, and Tactical and Mia still looking to try and find purchase now that they are in Academy. As Ayla being cheeky. Pew!
Glitter Lance, a little bit of a cheeky harassment coming through, but
Frontline Jan.
yeah, just waiting for this last stand to come through, and wrong place to be. Loses a third of his health as the dragon is now spawning. Takeover, trying to get closer here, but it's not an ARAM. You don't have the snowball. You can't instantly close that distance. Wild Growth goes out. Gonna keep Harry alive a little bit longer to secure another kill. No, Harry's gonna live, baby. He's not going down. And just like that, Team Liquid, they wipe out 3 off of an engage that TSM were looking for. But Team Liquid, they don't care. They're the kings for a reason as they're gonna march down the bottom lane.
And this is what we were expecting coming out from Team Liquid, or at least what I was expecting, right? I said they were probably going to 2-0, and this is just such a dominant play. They understand the macro game. They are so consistent. Armeo and Ayla leading them to get another victory. Jan finding his 5th kill of the game. Okay,
what?
Careful now.
You waiting for it to happen again? Team Liquid, don't have those memories come through. You saw what Spyrex did before. Don't play with your food. Just end the Nexus. It's right there, man. And it finally goes down. Team Liquid 2-0 versus the new TSM.
Tactical. He's got 6 ruby crystals in the inventory. Gotta be careful. Yeah, you can tell that TSM not particularly happy with their performance today, but Team Liquid fans are all smiles all over the place. Yon and Ayla continue to showcase that if they can beat LCS bot lanes, they should have an opportunity to play up. Armeo, we were looking at and as the #1 control jungler outside of John Armeo himself, and he took him down. It wasn't really much of a contest, and Team Liquid take another challenger and smack him down.
It was a brilliant effort coming out from TSM and, of course, Anda as well, trying to set up that mid lane, you know, to some success in game number 1. But in game number 2, it felt like Team Liquid were able to adapt even better, even faster. They went for a team fight composition, and they didn't really push for the plays early on. It was a very slow game in the game number 2, but once they got towards that team fight phase, once we started heading towards those 15-minute dragon fights where we started fighting around heralds on top of that, that is when Team Liquid started to shine. Again, it was a team fight composition, and they played it beautifully. Hats off to Team Liquid to take that 2-0, but a very good display that we saw coming out of this new squad of TSM, and I'm still excited. I don't think they're going to stay in the bottom, Josh.
No, let's not condemn TSM too harshly. Remember, this is their first couple of games together. They are still trying to build up that synergy, still trying to figure out what their game plans are to go up against the top dogs in the entire league. Game 1, I'm going to remove that one from my mind for a little bit. Game 2, they actually had a real fight for a lot of that game. The #1 thing I'm looking for TSM next, and we saw this again in their series up against FlyQuest, was how do they make plans in the mid game and later? That's a question for another day, though, and Team Liquid still take them down 2-0.
All right, so with that win, you know, congratulations to Team Liquid as they continue looking good in the second round robin. We are going to throw it of a short break. When we return, Mazel will have an interview with one of our winners, so be sure not to miss it.
Welcome back to the post-game interview. Verizon post-game interview. I'm Mazel, joined by Armeo and the rest of the squad from Team Liquid Academy after I'm just going to say dominant. There are probably more words to say about that series, but a 2-0 victory nonetheless. I want to start off by asking you, Armeo, going up against Anda, we were talking about how you guys both like to control the game, but also through your lanes, through the rest of the players on your team. How was it like going against Anda again?
Yeah, it was fun playing against Anda. Got to play some very exciting Volibear jungle matchups. Definitely haven't played those too much, like the Volibear Trundle. I think he's a pretty good player. He's been really good in Academy, and he can play both styles. But I do think with this like kind of tank jungle style, I have the edge, and we just have more coordination as a team. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was kind of popping off, especially that first game. You just see left and right leads everywhere. I will say, though, yesterday got handed a pretty rough loss with the old Doge in the top lane, but you're cruising right along with the 2-0 victory. How has this week been so far for you?
It was top gap yesterday in the wrong direction, and now it's top gap today in the right direction.
There you go. Easy, simple words. Gotta throw Bradley in there. I appreciate that one. Hey, I clipped that play from him in the top lane, man. He absolutely outplayed that top lane matchup on the Gangplank. But I will say, dominance, man. That's the name of the game for Team Liquid Academy, right? You guys won Proving Grounds. You guys have continued to be dominant into this season, even with some rough moments along the way. Is it just behind the scenes structure? Is it your guys' synergy? What is the key to your guys' success so far?
I think we just have like obviously really strong individual players everywhere, and we just generally have good coordination synergy. You know, we've played for a while. I think Jake, our coach, really like helps us get on the same page in game and like out of game when it comes to like seeing the game the same way and communicating well and this type of thing and like simulating the game before. So yeah, I think we just have really good coaching to like line us together, and we just all play well.
I like it. I like it. You've also grown some followers there behind you. I like the head bumps. I will say, a couple weeks left in Academy here, at least in the regular season. Another couple at least one series, couple games tomorrow. How does it feel? Do you feel anything? Do you have any thoughts going into the rest of the regular season? Is there anything that you really are trying to hone in on before the start of Proving Grounds?
I think we just have to keep doing what we're doing, and then probably just work on our like drafts, like make sure we're flexible enough when it comes to like the best of fives and proving grounds and stuff. And then other than that, just keep taking it seriously, and I think we'll be good to go in proving grounds.
I like it, man. I like it. Always nice to hear some words from you. I want to give you a chance for any shout outs. Anybody you want to talk about before we let you go?
I mean, obviously the biggest shout out of them all, Honda. I mean, there's nothing said there. Yeah, I can't give one show, but you guys have it. Yeah, Honda. Shout out to my family, all the fans. Shout out to my teammates, coach, and of course Honda. Yeah, thanks to the fans for supporting us. I think we have a lot of good players. We were able to smack out the TSM roster, so yeah, we'll do well tomorrow. Thank you.
Must feel pretty good. Must feel pretty good. Hey, bring it back strong tomorrow. Finish out the week strong, but keep on rolling, guys.
Thank you.
All right, I'll go ahead and bring back Joshi, and this time, Mr. Mad Magical himself, who will be filling in for Des